Hello everyone and welcome to another audio podcast. In this series, the Excerpts Equipoise chapter. This is the Shientist and this is another Storm Robotics production. So today I'm going to provide an overview in context of this excerpt relating to supporting best practice surrounding systemic lupus erythematosus and lupus nephritis in BAME groups, and this is a context surrounding a cross-sectional study. So the excerpt around this is as thus. So the introduction is: the kidneys are an important organ throughout physiology. The main function is to rid of toxins through urine. Therefore, once renal insufficiency is determined, this causes biochemistry and haematological difficulties throughout. Lupus, also known as systemic lupus erythematosus or SLE, is an autoimmune disease. SLE can lead to lupus nephritis or LN, which goes on to cause renal damage. So the aims and objectives around these works was to understand, number one, to understand the relationship between genetics of Black, Asian, and ethnic minority patients or BAME groups. BAME groups. Number two, to understand physiologically how lupus, to understand physiologically how lupus develops, and number three, to highlight what treatments can be used to prevent SLE and LN. The design and methodology around this was to focus the works to understand mechanisms surrounding SLE and LN by cross-sectional literature analysis. The results around this, aligned to this, was in the UK and the United Kingdom, up to 86% of females suffer from lupus, and those who suffer with SLE. Those who suffer with SLE, close to 20 to 60% of patients also suffer with LN. Females from BAME groups are 2 to 3 times more probably to more likely, or the probability is higher to suffer where they can suffer from lupus compared to those from Caucasian cohorts. The discussion around this is that LN can be caused by many different by several factors together or on its own. So, for example, genetics. So, if a family member suffers or has trace LN, there is a higher probability that it could be inherited. Also, the hormone estrogen has been linked to LN. The summary around this, or some of the summary aspects, is that findings have highlighted females with LN can find it difficult to manage when in pregnancy, or where it's been identified through pregnancy, or through where they are prescribed contraceptives. The conclusion around this is that the diagnosis of LN is difficult and symptoms can be different. The symptoms can also be similar to other diseases such as arthritis. And when diagnosing, laboratory specialists monitor and pay close attention to pay close attention to the investigations, the main terminologies surrounding this works are SLE, or systemic lupus erythematosus, lupus nephritis, kidney care, BAME, and cross section. So acknowledgements around this are to Chiamaka, wherein there was a collaborative effort between an academic institution and the Renal Patient Support Group, the RPSG. Once again, the excerpt in this audio podcast surrounding supporting best practice surrounding SLE and LN in BAME groups, and wherein this excerpt explores in context of a cross-sectional study. Once again, this was another Storm Robotics production.